at the end of our time together today, around 4 o'clock or so, I will email you a follow-up with my session materials, including a recording of today's session. So you can pass any of that content on to your coworkers or for yourself if you need to go back and view it again. Finally, we're all in this together. We're all Virginians. I think everybody who's here together today, as of right now, 150 people, we're in this together and we're here together to serve your students. All right, so those are our agreements. We're going to continue on. And we're going to get things started with what is Google Classroom. My description is it's simple, it's organized, and it's connected. And when I say connected, Google has a lot of tools that they provide for educators. And I love Classroom because it brings so many of those into a single place. We are going to watch this really short video overview of what Google Classroom is. And then I'm going to invite you guys, maybe 3 to 5 people, to share how would you describe Google Classroom? So just a little anticipatory question for where we're going. Okay, so in just 1 second, let's see, we'll get that minimized again. And I do want to hear from a few different people about what you noticed as we looked at that short video. Again, my descriptions were Classroom is simple, organized, and connected. How would you describe? And so if you would like to, you can unmute yourself. And again, we'll hear from maybe 3 to 5 people about how you would describe Classroom.
Provides accountability.
Awesome. Provides accountability. Our students, it's very clear how they can find their information. We're able to go in and put our resources in there, and everybody is able to find what they need. Thank you, Vicki. Anyone else?
Allows collaboration.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Megan?
It allows you to kind of connect and meet the needs of those particular students. If there's a student like struggling, for example, with writing, you don't have to necessarily that instant feedback kind of thing. So you're allowed to collaborate with them, share the document, give them a little more helpful work and helpful tips on how to kind of better their work.
Awesome. Thank you. And we will see how you can customize and assign or pass certain resources to a small subset of your class. So thank you. And we'll also see how you can collaborate by bringing in a co-teacher. So 2 different ways that we can see collaboration as we move forward. Let's hear from a few more people.
it was convenient because you could do this anywhere. You could, work in your classroom or work with your classroom from anywhere, especially on your iPhone.
Thank you, Deborah. And that's definitely the case. So in this little video, it talked about how you can, most people are going to be using it probably from a web browser, most likely Chrome, but they do have some pretty amazing apps that you can use as well for Android or iOS. So if you are a district that uses Chromebooks for teachers, then you could also put the Classroom app onto your Chromebook, and that provides some cool features in there too. Let's hear from one more, if you're willing.
Well, I'm a third grade teacher, and when I saw the video, it reminds me that it intimidates me a little bit because it seems like such a powerful tool with all kinds of different corners and applications. And as a third grade teacher, I almost feel like it's too big and unwieldy, like trying to light a candle with the blowtorch or something. But
Okay.
so I'm looking for ideas on how to simplify it for, an 8-year-old.
Okay. Thank you, Liz. And I love that you're a third grade teacher. My wife is a third grade teacher, so I'm here for you. I do want to return to my very first description, that it's simple. And as we look through this tool, I'm going to return to you at the end of our session today, Liz, and see if, just to check in and see if you feel like it's something that you can use with your students. I believe that it is. I think that third grade, this would be an amazing tool to be able to use with some third graders, like that 9-year-old, 8-year-old age. I think that they'd find a lot of success. But we will return to you at the end. So moving forward, and I'm gonna remute real quick. So the first thing that we need to get into is how do we get there? And there are two ways that we're really going to talk through. The first is at the top of your screen. If you type into your web browser, classroom.google.com, it'll take you to Google Classroom. The other way that we can get there is I'm logged into my Google account, and in the top right, we have what I call the waffle menu, that 3x3 grid. When we click on this, it comes up with all of your different Google tools, including Classroom. Now, a little tip and trick that not a lot of people know is that all of these are drag and drop, so you can put your favorite tools right at the top, and the ones that you don't use that often can be lower for you. But here we have the Classroom icon. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to take me to Classroom. So I'm going to invite you right now to head to Classroom. If you've never been there before, I do want to show you what your next screen is going to look like, okay? So when you get to Classroom and you've never been there before, so this may not apply to everybody, but a few of you, it might come up and prompt you to pick your role. And this is important to pick that you are a teacher. So even if you do not have a mustache, you're going to pick that you're the mustachioed fella on the right, and that will take you and make sure that your account's all set up correctly. So we'll take about 30 seconds or so to get to Google Classroom. And when you get to a screen that looks like this, we're just going to hold up and return together in just a couple moments. And as always, if you have a question, you can drop it into the chat, and Eric and John will get to you in just a moment. Okay. So I feel like most of us have probably gotten there by now, and that's awesome. If you have never made a class before, you may have an arrow that's pointing up to this plus sign, and that's where you can create or join a class. We'll do that in just 1 second. This is what your screen will look like once you have a few classes in here. I have practice class and demo class. These cards represent my course. If we had assignments coming up, that information would be displayed here. Here we have open gradebook. So there is a gradebook feature of Google Classroom. We're not going to really touch on that very much today. That will be in the 201 that's offered tomorrow. So, just be aware. I will provide some resources towards the end of our session where if you want to learn about that on your own, you can. At this point, we're going to click our plus sign, and I would like you guys to create a class. Your students in the future may click that plus sign and do join a class. And when they do that, it will give them a class, or they'll be able to enter in a class code. We'll learn more about how to add students in just a little bit, but I did want to just give you a heads up about that. So again, we're clicking the plus sign and now create class. When we do that, it's going to pop up with 4 different fields that we can fill in. The only one that we have to do is this first one. I'm going to make mine live demo May 11. Section to me is really going to be a secondary thing. So if we're thinking about, well, I have 7 different class periods, I would put its third block or 3A for an A day. So that's what we'd put in here. Subject, we could put biology. And then we have a place for, okay. So I think that there's a question. Moderator, can one of you ask it out loud just so I know that I'm answering the right question?
So Adam, some people are worried about not seeing the option. Didn't know if it might be a school division setting that might need to be changed to whether Classroom is available in that domain.
Yeah, so that would be a school account setting. So there's not much that we can do on our end or that you would be able to do other than to reach out to the technology department for your district, or maybe reach out to your principal if you felt that this was going to be a helpful tool in how you deliver instruction to your students and help facilitate student learning. So again, if you feel that this is something worth advocating for, I would encourage you to do that, but we won't be able to change their settings. It looks like Hunter has a raised hand. Do you have a comment to add or a question?
So if we do not have that school setting, there's really no point in us sitting in here, is there? Because we're not going to be able to do any of this.
That would be a pretty big challenge. What district are you in, Hunter?
New Kent.
Okay. And do you have?
I'm also
One
in
thing
New
I'll say, Hunter, is you'll learn a lot just by watching and following along, and you'll have the slides. So I wouldn't just say you're not going to get anything out of it, honestly.
Thank you. So ultimately,
In Hunter, this is Christine Peterson, also from New Kent, and I am able to make one.
okay. So something that
You are.
Hunter, let me speak to this real quick.
All right, I'll figure it out.
Okay, so a couple moments back when we talked about picking your role, sometimes a teacher gets added as a student and it gets provisioned that way, and it prevents them from being able to make a class in that moment. But this is something that can easily be remedied by, again, contacting your district technology team, and they can most likely switch you to the teacher group, and that would allow you to add classes. So Hunter, are you saying that you can't access Classroom whatsoever, or you can't create a class?
Hunter, I'm in New Kent and we have Google Classrooms.
Okay. So I would encourage you to follow along and just at the end, reach out to your district about switching you to being in the teacher role in Google Classroom, and I think everything will be resolved from there. But thank you for asking the question. All right, so in here, I'm back to my class. I've added in the section, the subject, and again, room number is optional. Mine will be 58. And when I'm ready, I'm going to hit create. So this might take just a moment, and the reason that it takes more than a second is that I mentioned Google Classroom is connected. So right now it's putting a folder into my Google Drive, it's making a new Google Calendar for me, and it's doing a host of other things too. So I now have this newly created Google Classroom class. It has the title up here, I have the class period and a couple other bits of information at the top. We will get into how to change this background picture towards the end of our session today. So if you have something that looks like you're working out, don't worry about it. We will see how to customize it in just a little bit. Right now, we're in the stream, okay? So the stream is, think of it as like social media, right? Where when you go there, it has all of your news feed. It has all the upcoming information for that course. We can see on the left-hand side, no work due soon. So your students very quickly can see, oh, I have a quiz tomorrow, or I have this daily check-in, or whatever else it might be, but it's not hidden. So to go back to the question from, I think, Liz a little bit ago, nothing's hidden from our students. The content they need is right here on the main page. Upcoming work will be linked here on the left-hand side, and I really find that it's a pretty simple interface. So I'm gonna head back to my slides real quick just to make sure that I'm touching on everything that I intend to. We've seen how to create a class, and we'll get to topics in just a moment. Generally, when I'm in a new tool, I like to start from the top left and kind of work my way across just to make sure that I touch on everything. So with that, we had our waffle menu before. Now we have our hamburger menu. I'm going to click on that, the 3 horizontal lines. And this comes up with all of my classes. It also has settings in here that I can go in and change at any point. But if I needed to switch from one class to another, all of that's right here. Continuing down, we have these 4 different tabs across the top. The first one we already talked about is Stream, and that's the newsfeed option. Next, we have Classwork. Now, to me, most of the time that I'm in Google Classroom, it's going to be in the Classwork part. When we're in Classwork, I think the most prominent button that we have here is Create. And Create's going to be a different color based on whatever the theme of your classroom is, based on the banner and the stream. Mine's black. You might have blue or red, but we're going to click on this Create button. When we do that, it comes up with a few different options. What we're going to start off with is Topic. So think of a topic as a way to organize your class, okay? So in the past, if you had a filing cabinet, you started off with, here are my folders from my filing cabinet. It might be Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. We're gonna build out that structure and start to put content into our different folders. So this one may be May 11 through 15. You could do it by unit, so it might be, here is our quadratic equation unit, and you can drop that in there. I would encourage you for distance learning right now. I know a lot of people are organizing their content by week, so that might be a way to think through this. I'm gonna hit Add, and now I have my topic. Something else that you can do when you have your topic in here is, there is also an option, if you do a right click, or if you're on a Chromebook or Mac, if you do a 2-finger click, we have the option to add emojis in here. So again, we can use different visual strategies to really be able to get this content to our students. I especially think this is helpful if if you work with younger students. I know we have some teachers here who are pre-K2, and so they may not have great literacy skills yet. You can use that emoji option. Or if you work with students who have other learning barriers, again, we can do right-click emoji and be able to drop those in. Now, it won't work for me just because I'm sharing my screen, but for all of you, you'll probably be able to make that work. All right, so now I have one topic, May 11th through 15th. You can build out as many of these as you want. Later on, we'll see how we can reorder them if we choose to. At this point, I'm going to hit Create and build out my first assignment. For a lot of us, this is going to be the main type of content that we post, the main type of resource that we post to our students. I'm going to give it a title. My first grader is getting a different choice board each week. So I'm going to do choice board May 11 through 15. And the next thing that we're going to do is look at how to add content to this assignment, to this post. We'll come back to the instructions. I do like to fill in instructions, but not until I've added some resources in here. So I'm going to click Add, and there are 4 different types of things that I can add to my assignment. The first is something from Google Drive. So a lot of my resources are there. I'm going to click on the Google Drive option. And with this, it's going to say, well, here are your most recent items. And I'm going to select this HyperDoc that I made before, but you can attach anything. So I hit add, has a little thumbnail so I can make sure, yes, visually that's the one that I want. Now, this is probably the first feature of Google Classroom that I just lost my mind about, loved, back when Classroom launched in 2014. So I have this drop down right here. By default, it's students can view files. So when they get this, they can see it, but they can't do anything with it. They can't edit, right? So if I click on that drop down, then we get these two other options. The first is students can edit file. And then the final one is make a copy for each student. So if we do students can edit file, that means all of your students are on the same exact doc. For some applications, that's awesome. Sometimes we want everybody to be able to contribute to the same document. Other people may say, that sounds absolutely chaotic. I want nothing to do with that. For the most part, you'll probably want this make a copy for each student. And this is going to give them a copy that as soon as they open up this resource, you can start to see their work, give them feedback as they're going. Now, we're not quite to that state yet, but I am going to select that make a copy for each student. The other types of things that we can add, we can drop in a link. So if there is a Newsela article that we're going to use with our second grade class, you can put that in here. Or if there's any other link that you might choose to use, I hit add link and it's now posted for them. We can, if you have a file on your desktop, you can upload it and it will be in there. And then finally, we have YouTube. And my son has been learning about non-renewable resources. And this is going to pull from Google or from YouTube, which is a Google product, another way that everything's connected. I can see this is a 3-minute video. It says it down here. He's in first grade. He's not going to watch a 13-minute video, probably won't really watch a 5-minute video. So I'm going to, start off with this 3-minute one and add. Now, I hope that for some of you, there's a red flag going off of, hey, Adam, you haven't watched that video. There's no way you can share that with your students. And you're right. I want to show you how easy it is to be able to review this video to make sure that it's appropriate for your students and the learning target. So all you have to do is click on its name, comes up, and now I can watch it directly in here, watch the whole thing to make sure that, yes, this will be the right video for my students. It's taking a second to load, but that would be our process. And there we go. So now that I know that it is the right one, I'm going to keep it in. Now you'll notice on the right-hand side, if I end up wanting to get rid of this link, all I have to do is hit the X, and now I'm down to just my 2 resources. Now bouncing over to the right-hand side, a couple other things that we want to take a look at. You'll notice that it says 4, and once you have more than one class, you could go in and select it's for both of these classes. So you wouldn't have to build out a new assignment for all 6 of your biology classes. You can make one assignment and post it to all 6 at the same time. Or the other thing that you can do, and I'm going to bounce to this other class to show you, is when you're making an assignment, so here we have this assignment. I can select that it will be for certain students. So I can say that it is not for all students, it is for Brian, it is for Chris and John, and they will be the only 3 to get it. So this is an easy way that you can differentiate based on their ability level, based on their interests, based on different groups. So I could say Brian, John, and John are in the same group, they're in group 1, and I can push resources to them that they can all edit together. And then when it comes to group 2, I would just make a copy of that same assignment and add their names and be able to post it. And now that group can do its group work together. All right, so continuing down, we can do points. I know a lot of people are doing ungraded right now, but you can do points. I had someone in a session earlier or a couple weeks back who said we're doing pass fail. So for that, I might do, it's out of 1 point. You either get the 1 point or you don't. And we can see how easy that is to have that binary option. You can also click the downward and have the downward arrow and choose ungraded if you wanted to. Due date, you can do due date and due time. So lots of different ways that you can say, I need it by now. But I do encourage you to have grace with your students right now when it comes to due dates, because we know they have a lot going on. Continuing down, we can do topics. So I'm going to select my topic from before, which is May 11th through 15th. If you haven't yet made a topic, you can do that directly in here. So it really does work in either order. I've selected it. We're not going to worry about rubrics or originality reports that will be covered in 201 and in some of the resources that I'll include later on in our session. So now that I have all of the different content filled out, I have all the settings done the way I want, I can hit assign and it'll post to my students right now. Or if I want, if I have only one class selected, I can also schedule it. So I want this to go live Sunday night so that when parents are working with their students and looking at the week ahead, they have that thing first thing Sunday morning, and they can, access it at any point during that week. So you can choose to do schedule if you want, it's not required, or you can just hit assign. And that would be making a copy right now in the background of that HyperDoc assignment for each of my students. Because this is a brand new class, I don't have any students in there, but it would be doing that in the background for you once you get your kiddos into your classroom. So here we can see I have my topic, May 11th through 15th, and I have my assignment, which is now under that topic. And I can build out as many of those as I want. I know another example of that is back here. And we can see I have week May 4th through 8th. I have overall info, and I can move any of those around. So I can move, drag and drop an entire topic. I can move a single resource within. And all of that is customizable. So if I want overall info and it gives my parents information about what we're doing for distance learning, I want that at the top, I can do that. And then have the next week's class materials directly beneath there. I can make that happen. And then, everything else going below it. So that's a real quick overview of topics and about the different types of assignments that you can add. Again, in our slides, I do have a video for you where you can go back and watch any of those settings and make sure that you customize it the right way for your kiddos. The next place that we're gonna go is looking at how we add our students to our class. Now you might be wondering, hey, what are these other options that we have in here? I am gonna just quickly talk about what they are. Again, this is a 201 piece. So quiz assignment is using Google Forms and making self-graded quizzes. We will see that in level 2, where you can make an answer key, it'll grade it, and you can actually import those grades to the grade book that's built into Classroom. Next is question. That's gonna be one of 2 different things. You can do simple polls, or you can do like a discussion board. Material, think of this as you are giving them content, but you don't want anything back. So this would be really good for, well, here's a syllabus that we're giving at the beginning of the year, or here are our classroom expectations for more of that K2 or actually K-12 landing, where those aren't going to change and our students aren't really collaborating on it too much. We can also reuse a post, so everything is reusable. I love that as like a recycling mindset. We can definitely leverage that. All right, so now we're gonna bounce over to our next tab at the top, and that's people. And in here we can see, this is where we have 2 different roles within Google Classroom. We have our teachers, and right now we only have 1. And we have students. I am gonna head to another one of my classes just so we can model this a little bit more. So here I can see all of my students in here. If I wanted to add another teacher, so maybe I have a collaborative teacher, or maybe it's my whole grade level and we're building things out, or as a middle school, our whole team has made one Google Classroom and it has the resources for different courses. We can do that here too. I'm gonna add my friend Eric Johnston. And now he's going to-
That's me.
That's you.
Yes.
So I'm inviting him, and now he's a co-teacher once he accepts that invitation. Now, most of us probably aren't going to be doing that a whole lot. So if we wanted to add a student, we can click this little silhouette icon on the right-hand side, and we would want to type in their name. So here I've got Carter at adamseipel.com, and you would just put in their names. This is, to me, probably the easiest way to go when we're in this time of distance learning. I will show you what I would encourage you to do once we get back into the same buildings. But for now, inviting them will probably be easiest. And if you work with littles, that will probably be easiest too. So I've clicked invite. And now the next time that Carter logs in to Google Classroom, he's going to see one of those cards that we saw at the very beginning. And it will say, do you accept the invitation? And now he'd be in my class. Now, the other way that we can add students to a class is by giving them an access code. So in here, there are a couple different places we can find it. The easiest way is going back to the stream. And it's over here on the left. So it's class code. We have this here. I can click the little box next to the class code for display. It makes it really big. And now I can copy that and maybe put it out in a weekly newsletter that I send to the students or their parents. I know that we have a guest. Hi, Carter. Oh man, we're potty training, and I think Mama's downstairs if you want to go check in with her. Okay, Mama got back. She's downstairs. Oh, nap time just ended. Okay, life is fun in the Seipel household. All right, so I have this code. I could copy and paste it into a newsletter, or however else I want to get my students in there, and that would be an option too. Okay, so some other things that we can do from the people page is, this is my class where I do have multiple people. And if I wanted to adjust some things, I can. So if Brooke is unruly when it comes to our classroom discussions that we're doing through Classroom, I can check her name, go to actions, and now I can mute her. So she can no longer reply to any discussions that we have going. I can also email her directly from here, or if things get really wonky, I could remove her, which hopefully we won't have to do. I'm going to show you a few different other options that we have in here, and there's my other moderator, John. So some other things that we can do, I'm going to go up to the settings gear in the top right-hand corner. And when we click on that, this looks familiar, right? We already messed with that when we created our class, but as we scroll down, we'll see in general some pretty important things. So the very first thing that we see is class code, and check this out. So once I get my kids into the class, I can come in, I can easily copy it, I can reset it or disable it. Maybe all of my students have already entered, and I don't need anyone else to be able to join the class, and I could actually just disable it at that point. If I clicked reset, it updates, and now I have a new one. This doesn't kick out anyone who has previously joined the class, but it would make it where no one, maybe they get emailed and a student joins the wrong class. I can reset it and do all this. The next setting that we're going to talk through real quick is how our students engage with the stream. Remember, that was like the news feed, comparing it to social media. So we have 3 different options for how they engage there. The first is that students can make a post. Okay, so think of that as like, again, a discussion board. They make a post, or social media, they make a post in there. I probably wouldn't want my students to be able to make a new topic, right? I want the teacher, I want the educator to be able to do that. So for the most part, I really encourage people to do this middle option of students can only comment, or maybe only teachers can post or comment. And that makes it the most restrictive, but especially since we're trying out this new platform at this point in the school year, maybe we do want restrictive. I'm thinking back to our 3rd grade teacher. I want it to be simple. I don't want it to be cluttered with other people's content. I just want it to be, here's the instructional materials for my kids. So maybe this option, only teachers can post or comment, would be the best one for you. Please know that at any time you can change this. So maybe every once in a while you do want your students to reply to a post that you make. So you can go back and students can only comment and have it on for that day and then go back and, make it restrictive again. So you can make those changes at any point. Continuing down, Guardian summaries. This is a really cool part that we'll look at in more detail tomorrow. This doesn't require anything on your end, but it would provide your students' guardians a weekly summary of any upcoming work, past grades that they may have received, and ability to really be checked in on their students' learning. Continuing down, we'll get into a lot of these other topics in 201. So if these are overwhelming right now, we don't have to think about them for the time being. All right. So at this point, I'm going to head back to our slides and make sure that we're still covering everything that we need to. The final thing that, or the next thing that we do want to go back to is if you could please click on stream again. And in here, we can again see our class code represented here. I do want you to click where it says select theme on the bottom right-hand corner of that picture. And in here, we have quite a few pictures that Google's already made. You'll notice that we also have the option to upload your own photo if you really wanted to. I'm a recovering English teacher, so I might go in and find this picture here of editing, and then switch by selecting class theme. That's going to change my picture. You'll notice that everything's now green. If I'm in classwork, that button becomes this greenish color, greenish blue, and all the color, all the aesthetics are going to shift for me with one click. And then you can change that at any point. I know some teachers who will put a new photo in every single day or every single week with here's our learning objectives for the week. That's really a next level thing that you don't have to worry with right now. Okay, so we are moving towards our wrap up. A couple of final things that I definitely want to showcase to you. On slide 13, I have a link provided here to a brand new version of the Google Teacher Center that's coming out pretty soon. This is the first of these sessions that I've done that I've been able to highlight. Oh, that's not the right link. Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay, so let me get you back there. Terribly sorry about that. Okay, so I think I thought I changed the link. Anyway, I'll make sure you get it in the follow-up email that I'm sending your way. Okay, so it's definitely not there yet, but I will fix it for you. Let me show you what is available. So the link that I did provide will be helpful. This is training lessons. All of these are free. All of them are built by Google or by educators. And in here, you can learn how to make fewer class copies. You can collect assignments effortlessly, and that's going to walk you through how to do a lot of those different things. What I was trying to highlight for you, and again, I will provide the correct link to you in just a moment. They have the new Teacher Center, and I want to model what this looks like. Hi, Carter. You back, buddy? Yeah. Oh, that looks yummy. Okay, so in here, they have getting started resources for a bunch of different Google tools. Hi, Carter. You want to wave to everyone? There are a lot of teachers out here watching you, 164. All right, so with Google Classroom, we're coaxing him out. Oh, now the dog's in here too. Life is good. Okay. So in here, getting started with Google Classroom, they have an intro video and then explore topics one by one that you can walk through, and it has a video directly to the right. And then you can keep going for how to copy a course, how to create a quiz, things like that. So lots of awesome resources that are, again, are free and available for any teacher. So at the beginning of our session today, we talked about how it's important that we share forward to our coworkers, and this might be a really helpful site to share with them. Okay. I do want to thank you guys for joining. We will have some time for answering questions in just a couple moments, but you are invited at any point to connect with me at adamseipel@gmail.com or at adamseipel on Twitter. And it's been really cool engaging and working out to those who reached out through those two different avenues. I do want to thank my two friends, John and Eric, for being amazing moderators, for, texting me whenever we had big questions. And it's been really helpful. So thank you both, John and Eric, for making this possible. And also to Vassal, Pam and Liza, for making everything happen behind the scenes, making this entire series free for our educators across the state. We have had people across the world who have joined us over the last few weeks. We did just post a few more sessions that will be next week. So if you'd like to get into Google Week, we haven't, I think there are still quite a few of those that are available. If you want to dive deep into Google Docs or Google Slides, we'll have sessions on that. We'll have a standout session on just Google Forms and how we can use that for collecting information, how to do those self-graded quizzes, and finally, how to make a Google site. So a couple different upcoming sessions that haven't been offered before, but we are putting together. Finally, feedback. I learn from you guys every single time that I do one of these sessions. I pour over the feedback. So I do invite you. You can either click on, this is a link if you have the slides pulled up, or you can go to bit.ly/VASCLBACK, and that will take you to a Google form where you can give me some feedback. This is also where you'll want to go if you need a renewal certificate. Once you complete the form, it will send you an email with a PDF copy of your certificate. For this, I really encourage you to take the time to make sure that you spell your name and your email address correctly. Otherwise, it won't quite work out. At this point, if you have any questions, you can unmute, ask me some questions. Thank you guys so much for joining. I will also be sending you the feedback form in my follow-up email that's going to be coming out probably around 4 o'clock. But thank you so much. If you are all finished, you can drop out. I hope to see you in some of our other sessions, and thank you for joining me today.
And Adam, the feedback form and the email will have the copy of the recording as well?
Yes, I'll have a link in there that takes you to my session resources, and there'll be a video of our recording as well.
Is this really effective for second graders?
I have definitely worked with some teachers who, even at the kindergarten level, have been using this type of resource. I think with it, I would really think through how I organize material to make it accessible. And one way that you might be able to really make that happen is through the choice board option, or by doing like a hyperdoc where all of their content is in a single post for that whole week. And that I find that can be really helpful. Also, my son, the 7-year-old, responds very well to some short videos for instruction, and that we can put those directly into our content too. I feel can be really effective. And just making sure that thinking through our topics, making sure that whatever they need right away is towards the top, so they can access it, turning on the Guardian summary so that the parents are getting those emails with here's what's coming up. I think those are some different ways you can leverage and really help serve at that second grade level. My aunt is a second grade teacher in Ohio. She has told me that she uses this with her students and has found a lot of success as well. And she's towards the more veteran stage of being a classroom teacher.
Adam, I used it in my multidisability classroom, kindergarten through 5th grade. And I use a lot of short videos. When we're covering, like, I use some PowerPoints that are interactive that'll wrong answer, correct answer. I also use along the lines of when we're going over a paper, I'll use the highlight model, and they can use it one of two ways. They can follow through and get their answers because, we're not in the classroom, or they can try it themselves and then go back and check their answers. And I highlight that in the instructions of the assignment so they know exactly what to do. And the Guardian thing does work good. Parents will be there to help their students. I've told my parents, help as much as you need to. So.
I would also encourage you to think through how can you add a video of yourself giving an explanation of the assignment as well, giving a walkthrough. And you can either post that as the video directly in there, or if you have your content in like Google Slides, you can put the video directly on the screen that way too.
Okay. Now I video myself doing the assignment and doing the highlighting. What do you mean video? Like, in other words, they saw me doing everything on the paper. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, something like that, or talk through, well, here are the different options. We're going to start here and move on to the next part. And that was for both you and for the original second grade teacher.
Well, thank you. I like that idea very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is Liz, the third grade teacher, still in here?
I am. Thank you. And this has been great. And I'll be on the call tomorrow too. Yeah, I have been using it since school's closed. I just don't feel, you've walked me through a lot of the stuff that I stumbled my way through. And now I understand better what I've been stepping over and bumping into. And I've definitely loved that the stream kind of feels like a little Facebook page for my kids, because I miss them and they miss each other. So I'll have I've written down some questions. I'll email you, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow because I want to find out about Google Meet.
Yes. Yay.
Yeah. So this has been really encouraging, because I feel like I've been stumbling, and knowing there's a teacher center on Google is amazing. So, if I'm up at 1 a.m. trying to figure something out, I can go check that out. I've been trying to find YouTube videos with instructions, and there's good stuff out there, but this has been great. Thank you.
Yeah. You're absolutely welcome. One quick note about the Teacher Center. I assume this will be part of the new one too, because again, that just launched like a couple days ago. The old one that I've been using for a couple of years allowed, it kept track of how much time you're in any of these modules. And in Albemarle, they'll let us submit that for renewal credit too. So you can earn a lot of different credits through there. They have a short course on digital citizenship, one on meeting students with special needs, and you can go through and find lots of great resources in there. So good luck, and I look forward to that email from you.
Thanks.
Well. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Eric.
There's a lot of people asking about the Google Classroom 201 that's full tomorrow. Have you looked into your Google Week, if you're going to be offering a Classroom 201 or anything during that time?
Good question. So next week, we're going to do just straight Google Classroom. It'll be kind of like a de-leveled one, where there'll be a lot of elements from the 101 that we did today, but we are not going to go into how to create a class. We're going to really spend quite a bit of time on a lot of features of that 201 class. So you can definitely, I think there are still spots available for that next week. Liza will, I'm sure, chime in just a moment to let us know how our enrollment's going. But I would head to the Vassal website and sign up for Classroom for next week. I think it's on
Monday.
Tuesday. It's on what?
Monday, May 18th, 3 to 4 p.m. And yes, there were still spaces when this workshop started, but not very many. So register.
Okay. And we are definitely trying to accommodate as many educators as possible. That's why we continue to expand the number of slots per these sessions and the number of sessions that we're offering. So, we'll do our best to meet the need and to serve people. The other way that you can go about it is if you go to the resource website that I'll send you a link to in just a little bit, we do have past recordings there. So even if you're not able to get into one of these sessions, let me show you where you might be able to find a recording as well. So I'll be sending you a link to 101. And when you get to 101, we have our session materials, but if you come up to where it says Vassal at the top of my website and come down to Classroom 201, our slides are in there. And if you keep scrolling down, you also find recordings from April 21st and April 30th where you can watch those videos too. So a couple different options. We definitely want to accommodate you to a synchronous course, but if we're unable to make that work with your schedule or our enrollment, you can go here as well. All right, any other questions out there?
Yes. Adam, is there a way to type on your documents that you posted under the classwork section so your students can actually send it back for grading?
Yes, absolutely. And that'll be something that we really look into tomorrow, but let me show you real quick. So if I click on, and keep in mind that I'm in here as a teacher, but we'll hopefully be able to get into this. Okay, kicking around an idea. So I have a student account. I'm going to go in as a student account. Let me do that real quick. As I'm getting there, are there any other questions? And I'll then be able to walk through this one. Okay, so I'm now in here as Carter, and he is enrolled in a couple different classes. We saw earlier that I invited him, so you can just click join. In here, he has this course. He would go to his classwork page. He can track his progress, right? So this is his choice board for last week. If he goes in to the assignment, when he's all done making the changes that he needs to, in his doc, there'll be a little button up here that says turn in, and he'll be able to submit. Now, between the time that he gets his assignment and when he's ready to submit, I can give him feedback at any point. So as a teacher, oh, it logged me out. Okay, but yes, I can go in and give him feedback. I'm sorry, Tawanda, can you repeat your question? I want to make sure I answer it, and I might have gotten off.
Okay, so for my district, we're in Alawite County. So okay. Google Classroom is our main platform that we are using. Mm-hmm. So as of right now, a lot of teachers are uploading their assignments. Let's say if I have some type of worksheet, okay. I'm a biology teacher. So I'm trying to get away from the students taking pictures and emailing them to me.
Okay.
Trying to figure out a way that they can actually type on the document that I send them and then return it to me.
Okay. So I would think that by, sorry. Let me get into the assignment that I created today and be able to show you how easy it is for them to submit.
Because sometimes my students, they don't take great pictures to send
No,
back.
I believe it. So are you having them print something? Guess I'm not fully following.
Well, some students will print, yes.
Okay.
But other students will try to copy my document and put it in like a Google form and try to type on it. And then it's kind of jumbled up by the time it gets to me.
So what file format or what file type is the resource that you're giving them?
Usually they're going to be PDFs, usually.
Okay. So yeah, the PDF thing can be a bit of a challenge. Something that some districts have tools that will allow them to type on top of a PDF. My district has one called Snap and Read that allows it. Read and Write for Google is another popular one. Kami is a third. So those would be some ways that your students would be able to make the changes. I would really encourage you to, when you make a copy of an assignment for your students, to the greatest extent possible, try to do it as a Google Doc or as slides to really maximize this platform. I know that's not always possible, but when possible, please do that. So your student would be able to make their changes in here. And when they're done, just hit turn in, and you now have that content. And the really amazing thing as a teacher, I can go into Carter's at any point and be able to give them comments and give him feedback, not just as at the end, but formatively and consistently on an ongoing basis. So again, I would really encourage you, and maybe it's not something that happens between now and the end of the school year, but looking at next year when you start to roll it out, begin transitioning to the Google Docs format, the Google Slides formats, if possible.
Okay, I'll be in all of your sessions for the next 2 weeks.
Cool. Okay, the Docs and Slides one will be hopefully a game changer for you, as well as the choice boards and HyperDocs would be 2 really good sessions based on what you're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is
Hi,
Sylvia. I
Sylvia.
have a question. Hi.
Okay.
You said get away from using the PDF when you upload. I was very interested because that, that was also an issue for me. I'll put the PDFs on the Google Drive, and are you saying just upload it as a Google Doc once I get in there?
Okay. So this might be a little too geeky for you, but I'm going to do my best here. So if you're in Google Drive, and this are almost all of your things PDFs, is that what I'm hearing, Sylvia?
Some of them are, yes.
Okay. So PDFs are tricky because they're not really meant to be edited. So they work great when you're trying to print something or if you're trying to display it, but for kind of where we're at now, it presents a lot of challenges. So a couple things that you can do. A great way to get a PDF into a format that you can edit is if you have the file on your computer and do a right click, you can select to open it with Microsoft Word, and that will switch it to a Word file. So there are a couple steps involved with this, but then you can upload, instead of uploading the PDF, you would upload the Word file version, and that would allow you a lot more choices. One quick, easy setting that I like to have people change as soon as they get into Google Docs or Google Drive for the first time is to go up to the settings gear, select settings, and then there's this magical button that not enough people use, but it's convert uploaded files to Google Docs editor format. So any Word file, any PowerPoint file, instead of having to go through and change each time individually, it's going to do the whole batch and switch it for you automatically, convert it for you automatically. So even if you're moving in your entire course and you have 300 different files, you don't have to go through and do it. It'll just take care of it. And again, it's going to the settings gear in Drive, selecting convert uploaded files and done. And for 99% of your files that you're moving in, this will be great. If you run into like a crazy Excel file, and not a whole lot of people are going to, that just isn't uploading correctly, you can always go back, uncheck that setting, upload the Excel file, and you'll be good to go.
Okay, awesome.
Cool.
No, it wasn't too geeky, thanks.
All right. Well, I hope that's helpful, Sylvia. Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions that y'all have? Okay, well, thank you again for joining. I hope that this session was helpful and that it will be have an impact on how you serve your students. I know a lot of you will be with us throughout the rest of the week. I look forward to working with you then, and always feel comfortable with reaching out. Thank you guys so much and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.